Snow hammered the empty street like broken glass. Lucas Hale, former Navy SEAL, froze under the flickering streetlight as he spotted them. A shivering widow, Emily Carter, holding her two kids close, their breath white in the freezing air. Beside them, a landlord stood smirking, arms crossed, boots planted firmly on their Christmas presents scattered in the snow. "Rules are rules," he sneered. "You're out, tonight." Emily's son begged, "Sir, please, it's Christmas." The landlord kicked their last box into the street. Emily didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply whispered, trembling, "We have nowhere left to go." Lucas stepped forward, jaw tight. Then quietly, he said the words that froze everyone. "Come with me." And that was the moment everything changed. What Lucas does next, nobody saw coming. Stay with me, because this Christmas night turns into a story you will never forget. Lucas Hale hadn't planned to stop on that street. He was only passing through Oak Ridge, his hometown. He hadn't visited in years, trying to outrun ghosts he never spoke about. But Emily Carter, she reminded him of a promise he once failed to keep. Emily was a schoolteacher before illness took her husband, Daniel. Since then, she worked double shifts at a diner, doing everything to keep her children, Liam and Grace, safe. But the landlord, Victor Langley, a wealthy property owner with a taste for cruelty, saw weakness instead of struggle. Neighbors watched from behind curtains. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody wanted to cross Victor. Emily stood tall, though shaking from cold and humiliation. Her kids clung to her coat. Their belongings, clothes, photos, Christmas gifts, lay scattered in the snow. Lucas noticed something in Emily's eyes. Not fear. Strength. Quiet. Unbroken. And Victor had no idea who he'd just provoked. Victor Langley smirked as he kicked a small cardboard box toward Emily. 30 days late means 30 minutes to leave, he said. His voice carried across the street like a knife. Emily swallowed. Her hands trembled, but she didn't bow. Grace, only 6, tugged her sleeve. "Mommy, my teddy." Lucas stepped closer. His jaw tightened. He couldn't ignore the way Victor towered over them, using height and wealth like weapons. He knelt beside Liam. "Hey, champ," he whispered. "Let's pick this up together." The boy nodded, eyes full of shame no child should ever feel. Victor scoffed. "You don't have to pretend to be a hero, stranger." Lucas stood slowly. "Not pretending." Victor stepped forward. "Don't get involved." But he was talking to a man who spent years stepping into firefights others ran from. Emily tried reasoning. "Please, Daniel died last year. I'm trying. I just need—" "No extensions," Victor snapped. "And if I see you back on my property again, I'll call the police for trespassing." Lucas pulled out his phone. With one swipe, he began recording. Victor froze. "What are you doing?" "Documenting," Lucas said calmly. "Your illegal eviction. Christmas night. No court order. No notice served properly." He pointed his camera at the scattered belongings. "The judge will love this." Emily blinked. "How do you know that?" Lucas didn't answer. Victor's face reddened. "You can't prove anything." Lucas lowered his phone. "Want to bet?" A few neighbors stepped out, whispering. One filmed from across the street. Victor panicked. He wasn't used to someone fighting back, especially not someone who knew the law this well. But Lucas wasn't finished. He pulled something else from his pocket. A badge. Not police. Navy SEAL Trident. Emily gasped, and Victor's arrogance turned to fear. For the first time all night, Victor Langley stepped back. Just one step, but enough for everyone watching to feel the shift. Lucas didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He didn't posture. He simply held the trident between his fingers, letting the streetlights reflect off the metal. "I've dealt with men like you," Lucas said calmly. "Men who think power gives them permission." Victor stammered. You think some military badge scares me?" Lucas met his eyes. "It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to warn you." Emily clutched Grace and Liam tightly, her breath unsteady. She had never seen anyone stand up to Victor before. Nobody dared to. A neighbor whispered, "That man's serious." "Look at Victor's face." Another started recording. Lucas turned slightly toward Emily. Tell me everything. When did he start threatening you? Emily hesitated, years of silence weighing on her voice. He raised our rent twice. After Daniel passed, I tried to keep up, but this month I fell behind. He said if I even asked for help, he'd evict us on the spot. Victor snapped. You're lying. She's lying. I don't need to listen to... Lucas cut him off. You served her a one-day notice. No judge, no marshal, no paperwork, just force. He lifted his phone. I've got you in full HD admitting it. Victor lunged forward to grab the phone. A mistake. Lucas moved with lightning precision. One twist of Victor's wrist, one controlled step, and the landlord dropped to his knees, groaning. Gasps echoed across the street. Lucas didn't hurt him. He simply immobilized him with the ease of a man who'd trained half his life for danger. Stand down, Lucas said quietly. Before you do something you can't undo. Victor trembled. Fine, I'll consider an extension. Lucas leaned in. No, you're done. He pulled out a second item from his jacket. A folder. He handed it to Emily. She opened it with shaking hands, and her eyes widened. Inside were dated emails, letters, rent receipts, proof of harassment, proof of everything Victor had done, but someone had intercepted. Lucas looked straight at Victor. You didn't just overcharge her. You tampered with federal assistance paperwork. That's a crime, and I've been tracking your complaints for months. Victor collapsed backward, stunned. Who are you? Lucas finally answered. A man who came home to help people like her. He turned to Emily. Pack what you can. You and your kids are coming with me. Emily covered her mouth, tears streaming. This Christmas, her nightmare had just turned into a miracle. Snow began to fall, gentle, soft, almost unreal, like the night itself was shifting. Lucas stood beside Emily as she gathered a few bags, helping Grace with her worn coat and lifting Liam into his arms. For the first time in months, the children weren't afraid. They looked safe. Across the street, Victor Langley sat on the curb, head in his hands as police questioned him. Neighbors whispered, about time someone stopped him. He's been bullying families for years. Finally, justice. Emily stepped outside, staring at the flashing lights. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Lucas looked at her gently. You don't owe me words. You just deserve a life where you're not living in fear. He led them to his truck, clean, sturdy, warm. As they climbed in, Emily noticed a stack of wrapped gifts in the back seat. For your kids? She asked. Lucas shook his head softly. No, for families I was planning to help tonight. He smiled. Looks like I found the right one. Emily covered her mouth, overwhelmed. The drive wasn't long, 15 minutes to a quiet, safe neighborhood. Lucas unlocked the door of a small but beautiful cottage. Lights were already glowing inside. This is my sister's place, he explained. She's overseas for a few months. She told me to give it to a family who needed Christmas more than she did. Emily's knees weakened. She almost collapsed. Grace reached out, touching Lucas's sleeve. Are we staying here? Lucas knelt. You're staying as long as you need. For the first time since Daniel died, Emily felt breath return to her body. Not fear, not survival, but hope. She whispered, tears falling freely. You saved us. Lucas shook his head. No, Emily, you saved yourself. I just showed up. The camera fades on warm lights glowing through frosted windows. A widow and her 2 children safe. And a former Navy SEAL who believed Christmas was meant for miracles. Because when the world turns its back on you, sometimes an unexpected stranger becomes the family you never knew you needed.